Is Lori Gagan, and I'm joined today by my three beautiful co-hosts, Jessica Endicott, Patty Reese, and Kathleen Halal. But before we get started today, which we have an amazing talk, and it's really about daily wellness, daily check-ins, even if it's daily meditation. But we've got some really powerful tips and how we ourselves keep ourselves energized. But again, welcome to Main Street Media, Utah. We are the Wellness Crusaders. We have an internet radio show on Main Street Media, Utah. And the Wellness Crusaders weave together the critical and often overlooked aspects of wellness, including the crucial role of soil health. This engaging series unveils a crucial truth. The health of our soil is deeply intertwined with nutrition, climate, and the sustenance of all life on Earth. For years, the rampant use of chemical farming methods has drastically depleted essential soil nutrients, leading to a decline in plant health, mental health, and our overall well-being. These podcasts emphasize that nutrient-rich, high-quality food is the foundation of our mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health. We address the critical issues of our diets being deficient in essential nutrients, a problem increasingly linked to a rising mental and physical health challenges. The Wellness Crusaders not only highlight these issues, but also provide answers and solutions. Upholding the wisdom of Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. We are committed to empowering lives, inspiring wellness, and offering solutions. And we hope you will all join the crusade. We will go ahead and I'm just going to read some disclaimers just so that our listeners and viewers understand that the listener understands that the role of a health coach is not to prescribe or assess micro and macronutrient levels, provide health care, any type of medical information or nutrition therapy services, or to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease, condition, or other physical or mental ailments of the body. Rather, the coach is a mentor and a guide who has been trained in holistic health coaching, as well as the biology of the soil, to help clients sustainable lifestyle changes. The listener also understands that we are not acting in the capacity of a doctor, a licensed dietitian, a nutritionist, a psychologist, or any other licensed or registered professional, and that any advice given by the coach is not meant to take the place of the advice of these professionals. If the listener is under the care of a healthcare professional or currently using prescription medications, the client should discuss any type of dietary changes or potential dietary supplement use with his or her doctor, and should not discontinue any medications without first consulting their doctor. The listener understands that the information mentioned in our talks should not be seen as medical or nursing advice and is not to take the place of seeing licensed healthcare professionals. So, with that said, everyone has the four of us today. It's my most special time that we are all talking because we are all together. But if you don't mind, Jessica and Patty and Kathleen, I would kind of like to start off on the wellness tips and really what helps me get through my day, get through my week, get through my month. And for me, we've been battling some election issues. Steve Ace and Roy on the Wednesdays at 4 to 6 p.m. are doing such a great job on the political side of the information. And for me, I feel where I am with all the health bills that are being passed in Utah and all the things that we're involved with. Sometimes in my own head, planting a seed is not enough because I want to make that seed grow and I want it right away. And so, even for me, I mean, I'm a normal human, just like all of our other listeners. And there are times that I find myself emotionally struggling because it's not happening quick enough, or there's some type of a medical bill that's being passed at the House or passed at the Senate, which isn't good for me and my family. And so the wellness tip for me, for anyone listening, is that I have three groups in my text that I'm involved with. One is the three of you, Jessica and Patty and Kathleen, the Wellness Crusaders, our group. When I feel that I'm struggling or I'm a little down and out because I'm over my head or overwhelmed or I've just got too much on my plate, I know that I can send you all a text and one of you are going to chime in or pick up the phone and you're going to plant the seed of what we are all doing is the right thing. There's another group as well. Kathleen's in it. Our farmer friend out of Iowa, Howard, a really good doctor friend of ours out of California, Dr. Michelle Perro. And I know that when our texts start at 4 a.m., that we're all feeding information, but we're also feeding each other inspirational quotes, inspirational texts, so that when I look down at my phone and I feel honestly that I am just so overwhelmed because now we're doing, the health and wellness on Main Street Media Utah, and I'm honored to be on here. And then I popped over some election things because for me, our caucus is next Tuesday, and we know that I have to interview the people that I'm going to vote for. That I could pick up the phone or send a text, and I had a really positive talk with Kathleen today, and then I called Jessica, who immediately answered my phone. So I just want to say thank you to you and Patty. It's anyone listening, you need to find your way into a powerhouse group, whether that is women, men, a combination of both women and men. It doesn't have to be 20 people, it doesn't have to be 10 people, but it needs to be your few closest friends that will pick you up off the ground, both mentally and emotionally, when you're feeling overwhelmed and that the seed isn't growing fast enough. So that's my wellness tip. Kathleen, why don't you go next?
Yeah, I was just trying to look up a little information, but my wellness tip is the same as yours, Lori. You have to have community. You have to have people who see things the way you do, and that's not necessarily even politically true. I have groups of people. Well, I'll just say I'm more of an independent kind of thinker, but politically, I know there are definitely politicians I prefer. But I will say that I went up to a talk at USC yesterday in the Center for the Political Future because they had two guests on, and I was trying to get the name of the books. One was Alice Waters. Alice Waters was talking about all her years fighting for clean school lunches and how organic food was so important. And it was so encouraging because the room was packed with students. Like there wasn't a seat available. It sold out. And all these students are listening to her. And she's talking about how important organics are and organic gardens and what she's done in the schools and so on and so forth. And I could just sort of tell from everything she was saying, every example of politicians she'd met with or worked with were Democrats, like the Obamas. She knew the Obamas. She was behind Michelle's organic garden effort at the White House, and then Gavin Newsom. She's talking about Gavin Newsom, and she's talking about all these politicians, and everyone she named was Democrat. And I don't know if she noticed that, but I was like, I brought up, I talked with her afterward, and I said, they feel discouraged too. Democrats feel the same way as Republicans. There's like this pervasive thing where so many people are feeling like everything, this next election, humanity rides on it and so on. And for me, what bothers me is not so much right or left. It's more that we need to come together on these common interests. At least the things we talk about, the things that all of us talk about: health, a cleaner environment, eating healthy animals, having clean gardens, having clean water. If you're concerned about the climate, having healthy soil to pull down the carbon and improve plant health. And these wonderful farmers that we talked about, I think last week, Alejandro Carrillo, who is out regreening the desert, the Chihuahuan desert, and Ellen Savory and all this. And for me, it even goes past politics. Even if we feel upset that the person that we want to vote for is not going to win or is not doing the right thing. I think what Lori was speaking about specifically was the mRNA vaccine. We were talking about it in Utah, and it was allowed to go through without any labeling. So now you won't know if the animals you're buying for your family, the meat you're buying for your family, has been injected with mRNA vaccines. And that's very discouraging. And I think, honestly, that would be discouraging for people on either side of the aisle. So for me, it's more community with people who see things the same way and who support these common causes. It should be common sense. These things that we talk about are not Democrat or Republican in any way. And so, but we're lucky when we find the one politician on either side who will support what we're doing. So it does get discouraging, and we do need community. But I will tell you that being up at USC and hearing the authors talk, and I'm trying to find the name of the other author who spoke. His book was called Silent Spring, like revisiting Silent Spring.
Oh, that's a very old book.
No, it's a new one.
Oh, okay.
He's looking back to Rachel Carson.
Rachel Carson's. Mm-hmm.
Carson, JFK. He's looking back to the politicians who
Nice.
cared about nature, and he's saying what happened to the politics that used to care about the environment. That's what his book was about.
Oh, wonderful.
And yeah, I have to find his name because it's not nice not to remember it. Okay. Anyway, I'll find it. But yeah, I'll post about the event. I put it on my LinkedIn already. But it was very encouraging, I would say, Lori, that in addition to having friends to text with and talk with and having that support group, for me, it's about going out and finding new community too, and reaching out to other people and maybe forming bridges and connecting with people that aren't necessarily in our circle today, but that could be. For me, that feels good when we expand a little bit. And also pets. I have my dog on my lap. You guys were laughing when I pulled him up, but he wanted to sit here. So, but I think, taking care of our friends, taking care of animals, anything that gets us closer to the planet, to the earth. Mm-hmm. And then what we're doing, we're making an effort to share what we've learned with other people and help other people feel better too. So I think when we have hard times, when we struggle through it and we share and we find ways to share with people maybe that we haven't met before, it's still very positive. So that's my tip.
How about you, Jess?
Yeah, I agree that finding your tribe and finding your community is so important. And it's not just, if you don't, I know that there's a lot of people that are alone out there too. But there's also a lot of support groups on Facebook, on Instagram. I just got added to a new one of women. Like it's this huge group of women, and it's women from all over the world. I haven't participated in it yet, but I just got added to it. So there's so many groups available out there. There's even the AA meetings. There's a new network that I'm part of, Remote Sober Support Network, that is a beautiful community. There's just so many different communities that we can be part of, right? Even if we just go out and say hi to our neighbor. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know very many of my neighbors because I'm in a newer place, but when I do go out, I say hi. How are you doing? Hi guys. Like, I always try to wave at them, even if I'm not engaging in a conversation. Just that smile can change somebody's day, right? Yeah. And I love our Wellness Crusader group. It's really powerful and it's beautiful, and Patty's awake before all of us. And so when you wake up, you've got all these texts from Patty, and she's just so bubbly and happy that immediately your day is set with this happy tone from the time that we're waking up. Like we have this beautiful sunlight of text messages from Patty coming through. So
I am an early bird.
yeah,
I love it.
I had another friend reach out to me today, and she's like, Jess, she's like, I have this friend that's struggling.
Mhm.
Can you please reach out to her? She's like, you've helped me so much in my life. Can you please reach out to her? I know that like you can help. Like, so it's, I mean, this is one of the things that we do professionally too, right? We have these beautiful gifts of helping and supporting others. And, but what beyond that, like if I'm not feeling like want to reach out to anybody, if I'm in that place of just where I want to just go into me and process and try to figure it out before I can reach out to anybody, that wellness tip that I'm doing every single day is my meditation practice.
Yeah.
And I will go through and I will process and I'll breathe and I'll do all of this stuff to try and figure it out first. Because for me, when I'm dealing with something really heavy, like this last week, I was dealing with something really heavy in my family unit. And for me, I had to come inside and just come back to that place of love and just try to process that before I could even communicate what had happened, because what had happened was just so outside, like it just shook my world, right? It just shook me. But then when I could finally voice what was happening and I reached out to my beautiful Crusaders, like I had so much support from you guys. So it just, yeah, I think community is really powerful, and being able to have our little self-care practices that we do too. Because if we don't have those, we're also projecting things onto one another, right? We're projecting our anger, we're projecting our frustrations, we're projecting our sadness. Like we're taking it out on the people that are around us that we love. And luckily, the people that we love understand and we can make amends with them. But sometimes you're in a place where those amends are irreparable.
I want to build on that, Jessica, because I love what you just said. I want to, going back to the book talk, I will tell you, the author's name was Douglas Brinkley, and the book is called Silent Spring Revolution. John F. Kennedy, Rachel Carson, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, and the Great Environmental Awakening. And what he's saying in his book is, where did this go? Where did this movement go? Why are we ignoring all these things now? And it was interesting because Alice Waters was talking about how we just go for fast food now. The minute we adopted fast food or convenient foods, we stopped having community, like what Jessica's talking about. We stopped having our family at the table together. We stopped dining with friends. You know, we drive through, we eat in our car, we get on the way to something. You know, for those who have kids, you're going to sports, you miss family dinner, and it's hurting our society. It's like food and nutrition glues our society together, and it's important not only for health but also for that community, Jessica. And I think you're so right about the projection and so on too, what you're saying, that being with you guys or being with friends, I will say, helps me when I start thinking negatively or feeling negatively too. It stops that cycle.
Very well put. So thank you both for sharing that. What about you, Patty? You're our shining light at 5 a.m.
Yes.
Well, I do go to bed very early. It's just part of my nature. And for those who like that kind of a schedule, that's part of self-care. Like for me, I start fading at the end of the day. So sometimes I'm in bed at, asleep at 9, it depends on my days. So a community, I want to address community because I think it's very important. But the other thing I really want to talk about is self-care. And, I remember years ago, Christina Veselak, runs the Academy for the Nutrition and Addiction and Mental Health. She called me the self-care prophet. And I've shared this with Jessica before. And I was like, I've never been called a prophet before. What does that even mean? I'm not really religious, but I'm spiritual. And that's part of my practice too. But the self-care part is, as we all know, and we've talked about on here, and Kathleen just addressed it too, is food. That's one of my big things. Like I make sure my kitchen is stocked so that I don't drop into that place where I'm not feeding my brain. And then I go into anxiety, and then I go into fear about the politics and the environment, because they're all real. Right. And the more we can care for ourselves and share that with each other and our communities, the more we're going to change this planet. Right. If we're eating fast food, the people eating fast food, they're not feeding their brains. They're in more fear. They don't have enough serotonin to calm down and go, wow, well, I really need to think about who I'm voting for, or how to take care of the environment, or what food choices I'm making, because they're eating stuff that's not feeding their brain. So for me, bringing it back, what you said, Kathleen, was cool. And there was to the table. And sometimes we're eating alone. Sometimes we don't have someone to eat. That's good. Feed yourself, because we're important. We are the most important. And our community is right there with us too. But if we're not caring for ourselves, it's harder for us to care for our children and our grandchildren and our neighbors, bringing our neighbors soup. We've got to eat soup first. When Kathleen was talking about that book, which I'm excited to get, I wrote it down. There's a book that I just pulled out, and it's called Kitchen Table Wisdom. And it's written by, I can't remember the author, but it's down on my kitchen table right now because I had it tucked away. And it's stories about people healing through communities, through sitting at the table and eating together, or feeding the neighbor who hasn't been able to cook because she's been sick. It's coming back to, like, how are we caring for ourselves? What choices are we making? And this is part of it. We're here to educate. We're here to share, these tips that really can change our world. And I believe that we can. The other thing I wanted to mention was staying in hope, having hope for our future, because as soon as we start going into fear, and I want to tell you all, and some of you already know this, that when I was learning about some of the politics and the environmental stuff, this was, I graduated from health coaching school in 2000. And I started learning about what was going on in the environment. And I was working with a woman who had cancer from the pesticides. And I was like, it was overwhelming me. Like you were talking about earlier, Lori. I was like, okay, this is too much. So I just had a few drinks, and then I had a few more drinks. And so I'm sharing that because that was, I couldn't do much as I kept pushing that away. I was like, well, how do and I went to a lot of rallies. I showed up at a lot of things, but I forgot to come back to me and care for me. And it was so overwhelming, the fear. And then how was I going to handle it, that, I started drinking more. And before I know it, I was in a bad place and I was helping nobody. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying that this comes back to our self-care. And that's what I had to learn through my own recovery, right? I'm like, okay, I'm not going to eat Skittles, but I'm going to drink a bottle of wine. So, I mean,
You drank organic wine, Patty.
I did, Jessica. That's correct. There were no pesticides. So, and this isn't about sobriety necessarily, but this is about caring for self. And that's what I had to do. I had to get sober to care for myself. But I was also upset about what was going on in the world. It was shocking me because I was not aware of it. And a lot of people aren't. Oh my God, did you know they put that in that food and that in that food? And then we have this fake meat coming in over here and people going, well, let's just eat the fake meat. I'm like, no, we need to eat the local meat that's close to our environment and that's grass-fed. Anyway, I'm excited that we're talking about this, and I think the community is absolutely critical And I helped a friend this morning, a friend of mine who passed away from cancer. Her daughter, I've kind of adopted her daughter, and her daughter was having a rough time. And so I picked up the phone and I was on with her for an hour, so, and then I was on the phone with another person who needed some help. So this is part of it, helping each other. But I had to eat before I talked to her because my blood sugar was crashing. And I'm like, I'll call you after I eat. And then I ate and I was more grounded and I was able to hear her.
That's a good point too. Yeah, we have to feed our own brains in order to help others.
Exactly.
Wow, so that was good. I would like to spend like a couple of minutes just shedding some light on a podcast that Kathleen did a couple of weeks ago in an interview that I did with this dad and his daughter who is wheelchair bound. It is from the city of the town. I guess it's a small town. I guess it's not really a city, but it's from the town of Nephi. And I drove out to interview the dad, Blaine Melquest, and his daughter. And basically, we went to several places looking at where these herbicides and these pesticides, the poisons that come from the ground that Kathleen is always talking about. And then Kathleen followed up and she did the podcast, I think it was 2 weeks ago, for any of our listeners who want to hear about what's going on in Nephi. It's a really great podcast. And so I sent an email to the city council and I was surprised. I got a response. I didn't even think I was going to get a response. So I spent 4 hours drafting and showing labels. And Kathleen had sent me some websites beyond pesticides, which, a lot of us are familiar with, but maybe not our viewers. Maybe Kathleen can just talk quickly about these couple of sites. She also sent me one on pana.org, which is all about pesticides. And so I was able to go through the information and take some screenshots of really what is happening. And I was able to send it off to the city council, but I did it in a way that basically I was saying, listen, Park City, Utah is already going green. They're already taking out the pesticides and herbicides. And down here in our valley with what Russ Olson and his lovely wife is doing, Sandra, they started a resilience group out here. And the mayor of Heber gave them a small little piece in the park to plant organic, which actually helped the community because they had tons of people in the community participating in it. And I'll let Kathleen just kind of finish this out because she is our soil girl. She works more closely with Russ on that. But Kathleen, if you could just talk real quickly, maybe some of the listeners can also say, and we're hopeful that Nephi is going to take it under consideration. But there are other towns, and Kathleen was the person who took her city of Irvine to go all organic in the parks and the playgrounds and schools. So we know that can be done. Yes.
Go ahead, Patty.
Can I just say something before you go, Kathleen? I just want to applaud you, Lori, for that. And our listeners, this is about also taking action, right? Feeling it in our heart and doing the best we can to take action. And that's what you did. So congratulations, because that's what we're trying to get others to do too. Take the action that you can take to make a difference in your life, your family's life, and the community. So that's what this is about. And this is changing. This is hope. Yeah. This is what we're doing here. And many others are doing it too. So I just wanted to applaud you for that. And you as well, Kathleen, and all of us.
Yeah. Thank you. And that letter that Lori wrote, the way that she articulated it was so powerful and beautiful and not blaming, not accusatory. Like it was just like, here's the facts, here's this information. And look, it's happening. The change is happening. And it's so beautiful. Just,
Thank you. Woo-hoo.
Thank you, Lori.
So Kathleen, why don't you talk, give us like, what is PANA? And tell us a little bit about Russ in his success out here in Heber with what he did.
Well, PANA there are organizations out there. PANA is a pesticide action network, and there's a US based group, and there are groups in different countries. There's a European based group, and what they do is they, as a group, fight legislation or bring forth legislation to really make change in communities and at the legislative level in general. But they also have incredible resources and libraries of all the pesticides and what they do to you and what can be used instead of them. And, you know, it's just a wealth of information. And there's also Beyond Pesticides.
Oh, yeah.
Jay Feldman founded that, and I've worked a lot with Jay, because actually Beyond Pesticides was who I reached out to when we wanted to get Irvine going. When we wanted to get Irvine to adopt an organics first policy, I called them and I started talking to them, and I said, is this even possible? What I am envisioning, what we would like to have in this city? And he said, oh yeah, there are several other towns. And he told me, you know, who the consultants were and how it could be done and so on. And so there are resources there for answers, so that when you approach your city or your county, you can go forward in a very positive way. And I will say, most people don't realize, like to Patty's point, if we don't start going out and informing people in our community or the officials that these issues are there, people don't realize that there is any sort of danger. And a lot of people mistakenly think that the EPA is looking out for us and that if they approve things, they must be safe. But that's not actually what the EPA does at all. What the EPA does is they act as economists. And what they do is they take something that they know has a certain level of hazard, and they decide to weigh that against any economic benefits to the US economy. And if they determine that it brings more money in the economy than it kills children, then they're going to approve it. And that's how it works. EPA is not safe or unsafe. And I didn't know this. I didn't know this until I got into these, you know, the depths of these conversations and research and, you know, working with legislators and so on. EPA does not say something is safe or unsafe. And this is the assumption that everybody makes, even at city levels. You know, they don't know, and they trust the EPA. But the fact is that so many products are out there, you know, and they're making these chemical companies a lot of money, and everyone's kind of ignoring the health risk. And when cities say, we're going to choose this chemical because it's cheaper and quicker or whatever, they're not considering the cost, the downstream costs, the cost to the environment, the cost to the children, the cost to the family that might eventually have to fight cancer, because they're not worried about it. They're not responsible. And until they feel like either they're responsible or they realize that just because the EPA says we can use something, it doesn't mean it's safe by any stretch. And I haven't. Lori. Well, Lori sent a message. It's true. Please join the crusade. Remember our mission, and please consider getting involved with us, because these kinds of issues can be brought up in your community. You can raise awareness in your community. I will say, as far as Park City goes, Park City is sort of piloting a safer product. They're using it on trails and in the dog park, because so many residents, here we go, came forward and said, we're concerned about the health of our pets. Please don't use these strong pesticides around where our animals are, around our hiking trails. And you know, then the leaders listened. But it takes people coming forward. So please, as Pat said, think about forming groups, think about making friends, think about going to your councils, and you can contact us for help. You could go to non-toxic communities to ask for help. You could go to Beyond Pesticides to ask for help. You could go to all three. And if you want to start thinking about these things in your community and ask your community to please rethink the toxins they're using, then you can do this. There are tools, and we are happy to support you. We are about community. We are about people coming together to help one another have better health, have safer communities. And Lori, you asked me about the farmer Russ. Yeah, he's a farmer who works with his wife in the community, and they share their information. And we had him on. He was on the show.
And they share it for free.
Yeah, Russ is fantastic, and he shares topsoil.
He was fabulous.
And he'll teach you. you know, how to farm or how to garden organically. He's happy to have people come over. He will go out to your community in Utah. Like, he's such a wonderful man. And it's about that. It's about us working together to share information, because not all the information that comes from the government is necessarily in our best interest. So
No.
I love that. Can I add too, when you were talking about um, community and neighbors, the people in Park City, which I love that they're doing that. Well, this is also an opportunity for us to talk with our neighbors. You know, I have a neighbor here that I've chatted with who I see her damn chem lawn stuff pull up, and I'm like, okay, time for to go have a little chit chat. You know, so approaching it, because she's a very kind, she has a little dog, you know, and she's spraying her lawn. And I'm like, oh my. So it's an opportunity for all of us to not sit back anymore, but to go, let's talk. Lori, yeah.
I love that. I love that we're willing and able to approach our neighbors. But I also want to give another call out. And so we know that the soil that a lot of farmers are growing in is really dirt. There's no nutritional like value in it at all. And we all know that the state of Utah and surrounding states where they're struggling, our kids are struggling with ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression. The state of Utah, I mean, suicide is at an all-time high. Yes, your book.
Because it's overactive brain. That's part of the ADD with the
Right.
pesticides.
And they're not getting the nutrition any longer from the soil. But there is a doctor out there, and I love what he is doing. His name is Dr. Brian Mentz, and he
Yeah.
has a website, and we'll put it, we can put it up in our chat. But they are Utah Physicians for a Healthy
Right.
Environment. Kathleen has talked to Dr. Brian. I've been texting back and forth with them, and they are fighting for the health of our children. So
Yes.
for any of the listeners out there, and maybe your child or your teenager, or maybe even if it's an older adult child, I can't say child, an older adult, I guess it's an older adult child.
yeah.
If you find that they're struggling with these mental emotions, you need to start thinking about, are they getting the amino acids from the food? Because amino acids cannot be made in the body. And it goes back to what we have all been talking about, that if the soil health is sick, which is going to equal dirt, then our mental health will not be healthy. So I wanted to do a call out to Dr. Brian Mentz, and he's doing amazing things. And he's really helping the families get to the root cause of what is harming these children. And he's fighting for every single family in the state of Utah. And his whole entire group is doing really good things. He actually stood up for Blaine and his daughter and set out a very powerful letter also to the town of Nephi. But we have to remember collectively, if our kids, adults, if they're really struggling in their emotional brain, you have to really think about the food.
Absolutely.
Because the food is what is poisoning us and our brains.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I don't know if anybody wants to take it from there.
I want to say that I'm going to make a blanket statement. I'm going to say across the spectrum, it is really difficult to get a hold of food that has high nutrients. Our food supply is so depleted. Even when you just buy organic at the store, you know, what kind of organic? Where was it raised? What's the soil like? You know, to Lori's point, we're going to help you. We need to help you with giving you healthy food sources in Utah. Right. And if it's at all possible, we should be encouraging ourselves and our neighbors to reach out to regenerative farmers. Those farmers need direct support, and their food has higher nutrients, and we will help you. We will list on our site organizations that can help you. I know the Red Acre Center has a lot of good food in Utah, and they also do a lot of legislative work to protect Utahns. And if you can, if it's possible, eat organic. That's the first thing. But the second thing is try to seek out local farmers with high nutrient dense food.
Yeah.
That helps you with so many conditions.
No question. And
Well,
the farmers markets. Go ahead,
yeah.
Jeff.
It's so important that we're supporting those, because as we continue to support them, they're going to continue to flourish, and the poison, the toxic places are going to start to diminish, right? They're not going to have the funding. They're not going to have the support that they need. And so I think like making sure that you're making conscious decisions and choices when you are shopping for your
Absolutely.
food, because it's not just for you, right? It's for everybody, because as you continue to make those healthy choices and you're purchasing from the regenerative farming, the ones that are supportive and providing a healthier environment for us, you're creating that ripple effect, right?
That's
You're
right.
creating that sustainable change, not just for us, but for our children and our future generations. And I am so afraid for what my grandkids are going to be faced with. Like, they are already faced with some pretty crazy things that we never had to experience growing up. Right. And if we do not make these changes now, what's going to happen? Like, it's to even think about that is so devastating. And so I want to jump back a little bit too to what Lori said when Lori was talking about planting the seed. Right. So when you're planting the seed, you don't see what's happening beneath the soil. You don't see that. So we're planting seeds right now in all of our listeners' minds of how to make these changes, right? And all it takes is planting that seed, and then underneath, the environment is doing what it needs to nurture that and nourish that, and eventually this beautiful plant is going to come up and come above. And that's the momentum. Like, we don't see the momentum happening, but it is happening. It is growing. It is flourishing. And it needs to continue to flourish. And we need to continue to plant those little seeds in our friends, in our neighbors, in our children's minds, in our community minds, so that they can grow into these beautiful gardens, these beautiful trees, whatever it is that's going to continue to flourish and nourish the rest of our environment and our world and our community.
Yes.
So there's my little speech.
I love that. No, do you want to go, Patty?
Oh, well, you finish what you're saying and I'll go next.
I was just going to add to Jessica, one of the things that we need to be teaching our children, and I'm praying that we get more emails of people wanting to join our crusade.
Yes.
Because we have the solutions. And if you're really wanting to help your family, you have to get in touch with us by sending us an email. But I also want to say, with what Jessica was saying, we have to teach our children to be courageous and to be brave, and that it's okay to speak up. And maybe it's something speaking, well, maybe I don't want that like birthday cake, or maybe I don't want that hamburger because I don't know what's in that hamburger. We have to start teaching our kids, because if not, the box is going to close in on them.
That's right.
And we do not want them eating toxic foods. Most parents out there don't have the time to do the research.
They don't know.
I spent 5 hours doing the research on this labeling, and I didn't even know what some of these like ingredients were. I had to Google it, and then I still didn't understand. And it took me like some time to find it. But if people like us don't understand ingredients that are in food, and trust me, the food is coming to your fast food restaurants. These are the foods that are making our children sick. That is why mental health is at an all-time high. And most conventional doctors, and not all conventional doctors, they don't talk about root cause. They don't talk about root cause being the dirt that no longer has the nutritional value, that is making its way with the produce to the grocery stores, filled with pesticides and herbicides, something Kathleen has been fighting for all of her career. They end up in these grocery stores and they make their way to the pantry, hence why we, did a podcast last week with Suzanne, who wrote the ebook, Poisons in the Pantry.
Right.
So, Patty, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I've showed this book before. It's hard to see with my light.
There.
The Hacking of
That's
the
good.
American
Hold
Mind.
Hold it closer.
Who's
Yeah,
the
that's
author?
Dr.
Robert-
Lustig, he's a pediatrician. So on that note, he was having all these children come in with all these different conditions, diabetes, depression, 8-year-olds being depressed. Why are they depressed? Because they have no serotonin, because they're not eating real food, right? So this is our responsibility. And those who are listening, it's for our children, but it's also for you. You know, I mean, our mental health and our well-being is going down unless we make the choices for that. Oh, that's great that he, what's up?
So yeah, we could, Patty, why don't you finish and then we'll just talk about this website. Go ahead, because it's
Well,
really
let's talk
important.
about this because it's up. I'll come back. I haven't lost my train of thought.
Okay, so we just put up the website, which is https://uphe.org. And that is Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment. And if you have a struggling child, a struggling teen, and you believe that it could be related to food, you need to get a hold of this physicians group because they are there to help you on this. They will help you get to root cause. So we'll leave this up, but Patty, go ahead on
No,
that.
I
book.
love that. This is a solution. And that's what we are about, the Wellness Crusaders. We're about solutions. We're about helping you look at what you can do. And this is also about making choices. You know, when you go to the grocery store, where are you shopping? Are you buying all those crackers with all that, you know, all the oils in and the trans fats and the artificial colors and blah, blah, blah. I mean, they
The
just
red
don't know.
eyes, yeah.
And the dyes, but there are companies that are creating crackers that are non-genetically engineered, that are organic. I mean, there are other choices, and it is worth your money. You are worth your money. So are your children.
Yes.
We
Yeah,
are worth spending your money on the food you're eating because it's creating your cells.
Yeah.
Your brain cells, your muscle cells, your skin cells, your liver. Nothing gets better unless we feed it that way. So
Yeah, I want to share that Joel Salatin, when I was with him a couple weeks ago, he's the farmer. He's very well known from Virginia, and he said that when people come to him and ask him the price per pound of his chicken, his answer is always the investment is. He never says the price is. He says the investment is.
Wow.
Right.
Because healthy food costs more, but you are investing
in you,
in your future health or your children's future health. It's an investment.
Right.
No question.
Well, and yeah, and you're taking a proactive approach to managing your health where it's cheaper to be healthy than it is to be sick. Like it really is.
Very true. Very true. And you know what? That was really awesome. I mean, and that was really a good follow-up, Jessica. I really like that. And you know, we should consider this. And I don't know if there's any moms out there or even dads. I mean, you can still do it on food stamps.
Yes.
And we would love to be able, like, send us an email. We're not going to charge you to say, if you're on food stamps, but if you're going into food stamps, there are healthy options for the grocery store, and you'll find it
Shopping
in
list.
the outskirts of the aisle. You're not going to find it in the candy. And you know, we go back to that courage and the bravery in teaching our children. Sometimes we have to teach our children, no, that's not healthy for your brain. Let's choose a healthier option.
It's because I love you. It's love, man.
Yeah.
Once you know, that's all about love. It isn't about restriction. Oh, they can't have it. You're restricting your child.
No, I mean, we're all mothers. And at one point in time, as being a mom and you know, even being a grandparent, we have to say no and then follow up with the reasons.
Right.
And have them choose healthier reasons or healthier options so that you're educating them at the same time. Yes, I would love to eat a Snickers bar. Back in the day when I didn't know any better, probably 40 years ago, I'll just put my age out there. 40 years ago when I was, you know, I was young 20s, I loved Snickers bars.
Oh man, I did too. I love
Yeah.
Three Musketeers.
Yes, I love that. That was my favorite because it
Quick.
was
The
tons of
peanut butter
sugar, and I was
Twix,
a
yum.
Oh yeah, that's right.
sugarholic as a kid.
Oh,
But you know what? I know better now,
Yeah,
and I
and
feel better.
the other thing is, like, Jessica, tell people again how you get your kids in the kitchen and get them cooking and get them excited about the healthy food.
yeah.
Yeah. So Monroe, I'm actually going to send a video to Leighton to play with her, but she's 5 and I've got her in the kitchen cooking with me. Like, she's cutting things up. She gets to try them before we cook them. Then she tries them afterwards. And we talk about how, like, I have this book that's the Human Body book by DK. And I show her the cells. I'm like, the cells are throughout our body. We have billions of cells. And when you eat healthy food, it makes your cells happy and they dance. And she knows how to dance, right? Because we have dance parties all the time. So now she's envisioning her little cells in her body are dancing. And she told me, she's
Oh,
like,
how beautiful.
my cells are dancing, Grandma. Or she'll eat,
Nice.
she'll compare it to something. Like, sometimes she'll have goldfish. Well, she has the healthy version of goldfish, the Annie's, healthier version.
Yeah, those are good too.
Which are the Annie's crackers, right? And she'll be like, these ones aren't making my cells dance right now, Grandma.
Oh,
And I'm going to
wow.
add this as Jessica just said, Grandma, for our listeners who are looking, you would never in a million years think that Jessica is a grandma. She's drop dead gorgeous and she's a beautiful grandmother. But when she first told me she was a grandmother, I was like, there's no way you possibly can't. But that's because she takes time for self-care and she
That's
eats
right.
healthy and she glows because of it. You know, she's not eating Three Musketeers bars, even though we all love them.
Oh, but I do eat 20 cookies, remember?
Yeah.
They were healthy though. They were healthy. I made them myself.
Right.
And
That's
even my grandson, he's 1. He knows healthy food. Like, he's eating avocados, he's eating berries, he's eating steak. Like, he will just eat steak. His favorite food is steak. He loves it. And he drinks protein shakes. So instead of giving him milk, my children, my son and his wife, have decided to give him protein shakes.
Perfect.
Because
Bingo, you can get so much in.
Right. And so many children are lactose intolerant. Well, why are they lactose intolerant? Because the milk that they're drinking is not healthy milk. It's not coming from healthy cows. It's pasteurized. It's homogenized. It's some of the cows are injected with hormones, and that's passing through. And when that passes through those hormones, we get those hormones. This is one of the reasons that we're seeing an increase in estrogen in little boys and little girls are starting their periods at an earlier age. It's because of the hormones that they're getting from their milk and from the animal products.
And we get to demand it. I mean, folks, we get to demand, I want this in my store. I'd like you to carry this product. I'd like you to carry this. So, yeah,
it's true. And talk to the managers.
Absolutely.
Be that person. Talk to the manager or call headquarters of the store, or support great stores like Natural Grocers. Oh my gosh, I couldn't say enough about them, how much I love that chain.
Well, they're part of the Beyond Pesticides as well, for the money that you don't donate, they go to making communities like healthier and less toxic.
They're funding organic parks. They fund organic park programs and they fund the training for the cities where their stores are located. They walk the walk. So when you support that business, you're making your family healthier and you're making your community healthier, and it's just a win-win. And you're supporting good farmers. And back to the farmers, I want to say that these farmers, when we spoke about supporting one another and so on, when these farmers take the leap and they decide to go regenerative organic, they are alone. It's like jumping off a cliff for them. They lose their community. They can't go to the coffee shop. Everybody talks about them. Everyone's like, oh, how about that weirdo going out and doing that? And
weird.
They don't have government support. They don't have any more like crop insurance. They can't get bank loans. Like, these farmers are superheroes. I agree. Going out and buying capes for them. And so if there's any way to support them and go to, Red Acre Farm or wherever you can find in Utah, anything. Patty, I know you have resources in Utah too.
Yes.
They're going to give you names and addresses so you can go and support these superheroes, because they are.
It's funny. I'll say my husband, Jim, we had a tech company back in Indiana, and on his cars, he had them logoed, and our shirt said, "Tech so good, they should wear capes." And it really, like it was like a driving billboard.
Yeah.
And so you just said Cape superheroes, and that's how he referred to his engineers and his techs as superheroes. I just wanted to throw that out.
I love that. It is superhero work, though.
Marketing.
And we all get to be part of that. The other thing I was going to say is the joining a CSA, a community supported agriculture farm, and you take a share in it, and that supports the farmer. And then you just get and you go pick up your food once a week, and you support that farm for the whole. Usually it starts in the spring and through the summer, and then a little bit into the fall. So I would really encourage people to look for your local CSAs, because that helps the farmers.
Are there any in Salt Lake?
Yeah,
Oh,
Patty,
yes.
How do people find them? Will we put it on our website, or
we'll put it on our website? Yep, the local CSAs that are around Salt Lake City and the outer areas.
Is there a website for that maybe Leighton can put up, or is it just a search? Like, how would our listeners
I think
find something
Red Acre
like that?
Farms might.
Red Acre Farms,
Red Acre Center. Red Acre Center.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we have
There are
community
others.
supported agriculture in Salt Lake City, I think there's several different farms. There's not just one.
Yeah.
And some of the community farms are now big enough that they're doing CSAs, because that way they know they're getting the money that they need to run the farm. And then we're supporting them, and then we get the food, and, we just go pick it up.
That's awesome. And I know
to one at the Krishna temple here in Salt Lake City. They have a huge farm behind there. And so, we go and, you just take what they have for that week.
Yeah.
And that's what Russ Olson's group is doing out here, that you could become part of. All you have to do is show up once a week and help them weed. And then at the end of the week, you get a bag of groceries.
Yeah.
And
so for the people that can't afford that, absolutely, you work on them.
Right. And he teaches and educates for free.
I will tell you, it's like Ron Finley. I don't know if any of you saw the TED Talk of Ron Finley. It is hilarious. He's a guy from South Central LA. I guess now it's called South LA. And he planted food in all the strips by the sidewalks. And
was that the guerrilla gardener?
Yes, that's Ron. He's a scream. His TED presentation is so funny. If you look,
could you say it again? I wonder if we can pull that up. That would be really cool.
See if you can find that, Leighton. See if you can find that and put it up, because he's a scream. Anyway, he had to fight the city backwards and forwards, and finally he won. And they said, all right, fine, you can make all those grass strips food. And it was for the community. Everyone could take it. And his expression is the best. He said, planting food is like growing money.
That's right. I love
that expression, because it's great. And seeds are very inexpensive. It really does not cost
Kathleen,
a lot.
What was that again? The guerrilla what?
Guerrilla
gardener.
Ron Finley. Or
Ron
gangster.
Finley.
Maybe gangster gardener.
Maybe gangster gardener.
Gangster gardener. That's right. Gangster
gardener.
What a great idea. Why can't we start doing that in our own community? Just start doing that in our front yards, planting gardens.
You may also have to have conversations if you're in an HOA or the city or whatever the regulations are. But you're right, Jessica. There's no reason not to. There's no reason not to, especially with the cost of food going up. Victory gardens. It should be like a victory garden campaign nationwide. Our government should really be leading this, because the cost of food is getting so high that people can't afford healthy food.
But that's where we come in.
Heard this?
The government's
that's
not
where
going to do it. We need to do it.
Well, Kellogg's executives are rejoicing because people are buying more of their cereal, because families are turning to cereal at night for dinner. This was all over Bloomberg this week.
Oh my gosh.
they should be ashamed. I mean, but they're happy because they're selling more
Right,
cereal.
their
Bingo.
profits
It's
are through
getting to
them.
be time to buy from our local farmers, plant our own gardens. Sorry, Patty, you're trying to say
I like
something.
that. You know
No,
what?
no,
Let's
no,
give a
you're
call
good.
out to Leighton behind the scenes,
Yeah.
our DJ Flyboy, who does such a wonderful job. Thank you, Leighton, very much.
Yes.
And any
thank
single
you.
ladies out there listening,
Yes.
he is a very good
We should
single Christian man.
we should put Leighton on
Put your
camera.
hands up.
Yes. So this is like really so powerful. You know, we are going to be taking calls. We'll put the phone number up, but we'll be taking calls here in just a little bit. As Leighton, he's going to pull up a video, but for the guest callers, the number is 385 899-2134, and we'll start queuing up people calling in. Send us an email at info@thewellnesscrusaders.com if you prefer to send your email in.
That's better.
And I think that it looks like Leighton's got the, oh, that looks cool. So bring it on in, Leighton.
Oh, here he is. Love it.
Wow. So what's the, can you read the website?
So Ron Finley Project.
We've got swag. I love that.
We could listen to the first.
Oh, we envision a world where people know nutrition and where it comes from, where all ages embrace the act of growing, knowing, and sharing the best of Earth's fresh grown food. The Ron Finley Project is teaching communities how to transform food deserts into food sanctuaries, and teaching individuals how to regenerate their lands into creative business models. We envision and want to facilitate a world where gardening is gangsta. Gangsta means projecting strength on one's own terms, hip, cool, innovative, revolutionary, resolute, vital, the cutting edge.
Oh my gosh, how fabulous is
Yeah,
that? Where's
he's
he
awesome.
located?
Yeah, I could probably. I've met him before. We could probably have him on. He's still in LA.
He's in LA. Oh my gosh, his website's
We should
amazing.
totally have him on. That would be a
And
fun
I-
show.
Yeah, and I love it. Plant some money.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I love it.
And
Yeah.
look at those 4 little babies. How cute, eating healthy food. Now that is a picture of joy right there.
I know,
That's
because
right.
it's growing in the community. It's for everyone.
Wow.
Leighton, can we cut the sound? Can you guys hear Ron talking? Can we cut the?
Yeah, hold on. I'm pulling up the TED Talk real quickly here.
Okay. Anyway, I highly recommend his TED Talk to everyone. It's a scream. We could probably have him on, but this is what I meant in the beginning of what I was saying, that these things we talk about are not political. They cross every line. They cross every political line, every racial line. Everybody wants healthy food. Everybody wants a healthy family.
Absolutely.
It's very unifying what we're doing. It's unifying.
We could just watch a little bit of it. Oh.
Can't hear it. Can't hear it, Leighton.
If we can't hear, it's probably the site that won't let us listen to the audio.
I can hear it.
You can?
Can you guys hear? I can hear it.
I can't.
Well, let's
No,
just
he's
play it
talking.
for a few minutes, and then even if we can't hear it, we can
Yeah,
still.
continue to talk over it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
What did he do in his career? Does anybody know what led him to this?
I don't remember. Okay, he's kind of a jack of all trades. I mean, like, he kind of fell into this. He fell into this.
Nice.
26.5 million Americans live in a food desert.
That's insane.
All we know is that as the Wellness Crusaders, if you want to find out more about how you can feed your family healthy foods on a budget,
Yes.
you have to send us an email.
Absolutely.
info@thewellnesscrusaders.com.
Yep.
The call-in number that you can call in and ask questions is 385, and I'll have Leighton put that up, 385-899-2134. So Leighton, if you want to bring in the call-in number as you take that down. All right, we've got the call-in number, and I don't know if, Jessica, if you want to even check the email and see if we've got any questions. We can keep talking until the questions come in. I think that as we're building this resource list, having these farmers who are growing in a regenerative way, people like Russ Olson and the ones that Patty was talking about, we need to add this to the list.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's important for families to know that, listen, even going to the family, the markets,
Yes.
it's like way more cost effective. And you can actually talk to the people who are growing the food.
No question.
And you can make your educated decision. I look at it's called informed consent. We're not getting
Absolutely.
informed consent anymore. So we need to be courageous. We need to be brave.
Yep.
We need to speak up and shout it out and teach our children also to say, what's in the food?
Mm-hmm.
Is it healthy for me?
Mm-hmm.
It's small little baby steps.
Yeah. I'm hearing somebody's typing, so I'm not sure if it's definitely not me because I'm not that
I think it's Kathleen just by your facial expression. I'm going to call her out. Call in number 385-899-2134. Do we have any text questions or email questions?
I just wanted to make one comment before we do that, what you were saying, Lori, and that is, the farmers market, we have a winter's farmers market here where a lot of people, I went last week and I got so many greens from this family from Draper. They have a greenhouse, and I'm like, cool, and non-sprayed. And I mean, so we can still support these farmers that are doing that and showing up. And, he was with his son and his wife, and they have this whole different assortment of greens. And I found these, I never had them before, but they were turnip radishes.
Ooh.
I don't know if anyone ever had them. I don't like radishes because they're too hot for me. So I don't like a lot of heat, but they were delicious. And you could just, shred them right onto your salad or your plate. And these guys are growing them. And so this is local even now, in February. So I just wanted to mention that we can still get this food and support the farmers.
So you know what, as we're waiting for the questions to come in, or callers, I have a question. Can you guys say what or where your favorite place is to shop during the summer months? Where do you buy your produce from?
Farmers market.
Yeah.
CSA.
Farmers market.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about the farmers market?
Talking to the farmers. For me,
Yeah.
knowing who's growing it, meeting the families. You see them out there with their kids. And,
Yeah, it's so wonderful.
yeah.
And Jessica mentioned
healthy
earlier that, and I don't know if it was Jessica or Patty, that, some of our listeners, a lot of the people, I mean, they're single, they're elderly, maybe their significant other, has passed. A local farmers market would also give a way for people to get out into the social world and just chat. Maybe it's not a farmer, but maybe it's somebody who's crocheting a scarf or something, or maybe it's somebody selling jewelry, or maybe it's somebody just, that has the water booth out there. It's a really good way to get out there and socialize with
Yes.
people. So you're not feeling so cooped up and that you don't have anyone. because
That's really true.
there are people out there, and even if, for like Jessica, I know that you work with a lot of people who feel lonely. There are ways around that.
Mhm.
And those ways around that are getting out into the community, because
That's
you
right.
will find people to love you and hug you up. But you're not going to find them if you're just sitting alone in
Mhm.
your house.
Right.
So yeah,
It's the tribe.
how do you do that if you don't have the drive or the desire to? Like, what is that depletion in the brain? I mean, I know the answer to it, but these people that don't have this drive, they don't have that desire, they don't have this low
No motivation.
self-esteem. What, like, there is something chemically going on that's causing them to have a hard time. So there might be a step that they have to take prior to even being able to go out into the community.
Right.
And this is part of feeding the brain. So if you're low in dopamine or norepinephrine, you don't have motivation. You're apathetic. It's an apathetic depression. So we have, in order to get out there, you may have to feed your brain first and then go, oh, things are coming back on. I'm feeling alive again. Oh my goodness, I'm going to go to the farmer's market and connect with people. You may have a social phobia. That's also low serotonin. So this is why why we say feed the brain first, because as you're feeding your brain, things are lighting up and you're like, I can get involved. Oh my goodness, I can go to the farmer's market, or I can call my friend and ask for a ride.
Patty, isn't there a website? You just mentioned Feed the Brain First. What is the website that is all free? And when I say free, the you can listen to other people, you can get tons of information, but what is that website?
Well, there's a few. There's eatingproteinsaveslives.org. So that's the first one. And we'll have that definitely up on our site. There's also the Academy for Addiction and Mental Health Nutrition. And that's also aminoacidtherapy.com now. You can go through that. The Alliance for Addiction Solutions. And it's not just about addiction, it's about mental health, right? This is what we're talking about, having that motivation. But Eating Protein Saves Lives, we have put a lot of time and information on that website. And there's again, like Lori said, there's a lot of free information on there. And hopefully pretty soon we're going to be starting these feeding recovery meetings. And it's not just for sobriety, it's for food, it's for depression, it's for mental health. They're on hold right now because we're getting things lined up for it. Right now they're
Revamping.
we're revamping. Yes, right now they're online, but we want to start offering these meetings to our community for free. So there's lots of 12-step programs out there that are free as well too, and they're wonderful. But what we're trying to do is get people to understand the power of eating and going and getting that food that you need to feed the brain so that you can show up in your life and come back to life again and thrive, not just survive. We need people to thrive to make changes in our world.
Right. And then one question, I think Leighton's got the video queued up, but
Oh,
before he brings that up, Kathleen, for the farmers who are listening, is there a particular website that if somebody could go to one website that you would direct farmers in Utah to go for more information on regenerative farming, or starting, I'll say 101?
Well, I would say it's not just one moment. Let me
okay. While she's thinking about that, I wanted to say something about the farmers market.
Okay.
The farmers markets here, and I'm sure in other states too, but we're talking about Utah, takes food stamps.
Really?
Yes.
No way.
Yes. So
Yes.
you can take your food stamps to the farmers market and
Oh my
trade them in.
gosh.
You trade them in for like a little
And
coin thing, and then you can buy food.
And is there a booth that is set up for that?
Yeah, it's isn't it the information booth, Jess?
yep, it's the information booth. And they've got two of them. They've got two different information booths. So they've got one on each side of the market.
Yeah.
fantastic.
Wow, that's exciting.
And Sprouts takes the Sprouts Market here in Utah, which is another place to shop. I got the best deal on wild caught salmon. They have the best deal on wild caught salmon. It's $10.99 a pound, frozen. You got to get it frozen.
We want it frozen.
Yes, we want it frozen. I know, Laurie.
Okay, so is that it, Patty?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so the in Utah specifically, it's the Utah Soil Health Partnership. It's backed by I think it's the NRDC governmental agencies, but they are a very good network within Utah. And
Can
they
you
will
repeat
help
that?
you.
Utah?
Utah Soil Health Partnership. You could go there for information, or if you want to go to a national organization, you could go to Understanding Ag. Understanding Ag. That's an organization that will help farmers and give them information and help them to transition or answer questions, offer consultation. That's nationwide. And there's also advancing AEA, so Advancing Eco Agriculture. I think that's it. So AEA, Agriculture Information. That's run by John Kempf, KEMPF. He's an Amish farmer. And yeah, Advancing Eco Ag, and it's fantastic.
Oh.
It's like Understanding Ag as well. So there's also Farmer's Footprint for some information that might be a little more for the consumer side, but a lot of farmers belong to that organization, and they're doing a whole lot of work with Regenerate America to go to DC and work on the farm bill and get funding and help for regenerative farmers and farmers who want to focus on the soil and kind of drop the pesticides and raise healthier food. So this is really like a rising movement. I mean, It seems small now, but in about 10 minutes, we're going to be hearing a lot more about it, because I think people are tired of being sick. And I think farmers are tired of raising, low quality food and wrecking their soil and, raising sick animals.
Enough already. Enough.
Everyone's sick of the model. Everyone's sick of the model, and the government and the chemical companies are still pushing the model. But farmers and consumers are starting to wake up to the fact that we cannot continue this way.
No,
we cannot.
Nope.
It was all good information, so thank you for sharing that for our farmers. But Leighton, do you want to put that video up that you have queued up?
I'm healthy, I'm happy, I feel great. And
Oh God, I can hear her voice.
I think.
Can you replay that one more time, Leighton?
You can't see it, Leighton, by any chance.
I can hear it.
Yeah, it's reloading for some reason.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Now play. Oh, it's being weird.
Shoot, because it's cute.
Can you just play it for the voice?
Yeah.
I want to listen to her laugh.
Yeah.
So cute.
It's not gonna work yet.
We love Restream, Dwayne. We know.
Yeah, it has a few issues. But were you guys able to hear it though?
We did the first time. It was cute.
Okay. Let me bring it back in and bring it back up and see if it'll work.
I mean,
with
I
us.
think the laugh, just the laugh of healthy children. I think it just means something. And that's, the farmer's market, taking your kids there, to ask those same questions, teaching them to be brave, teaching them to be courageous in asking the farmers, how do you grow the food? Is it healthy for my growing brain?
Yeah,
These are the kids. These are
kids
the
are
next
curious.
generation of people who are going to run our country. And if we don't educate them, then guess what? Us as elderly people, we want somebody who really is in the know to be able to take care of us. But it's up to us to educate them.
Well, the other thing is, Lori, with your granddaughter, when you make the special protein balls, she gets all excited.
Yeah.
Oh, she does.
All right, I'm ready if you guys are for the video again.
We are ready.
Thanks, Leighton.
Yeah, of course.
I'm healthy, I'm happy, I feel great, and I'm smart, and I can do high things.
Oh, I love that.
Oh gosh, that is so special.
Affirmation.
I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm smart, and I can do hard things, and I feel great.
Oh, I love that. You'll
You
have to
did that
send
at
me,
the end. It was hysterical.
yeah. You'll have to send me that for Olivia.
I
You know,
love
which
that.
brings me back to something, if you want to, going back to like our kids who seem to be a little bit more hyper, more energized, maybe a little withdrawn, maybe a little bit more crabby. Jessica, can you just talk about the birthday candle meditation for parents who are really struggling with kids right now, who they can't seem to settle them down? Can you just go through that one more time after listening to Monroe?
Yeah. So we have this little meditation practice that we do. And so you can use your fingers. So you use your fingers and teach your children that these are birthday candles and that they're going to blow them out. And this will help them to come back to center. It will help. It's also a fun activity, right? It's going to help to shift their brain with whatever is going on with the confusion or the chaos or the angry feelings, whatever it is, their frustration. And you're going to just take your fingers and you're just going to blow. So whoops. And it's just really super simple, very easy practice to do with them, and they love it.
I have to say, last night at midnight, when I was finishing my draft to Nephi, I found myself as an adult doing the birthday candles because that was the first thing that came. I couldn't remember the saw, na. I couldn't remember. What is it?
Satanama.
Yeah. And I couldn't remember that one. And I knew I needed to calm my brain down before I went to bed because I had myself worked up in a frenzy on the whole herbicides and pesticides and the people out in Nephi who are sick. So I found myself doing birthday candles.
Nice.
So do we have any questions out there?
So we have a question on our email. So info@thewellnesscrusaders.com. There is somebody is asking. Okay, so they loved that we were saying to go and talk to your neighbors about poisons, and Patty was saying how she had the neighbor that had the little dog. They don't know how to approach them and speak on that level without offending them. So can we give them advice on what we would say and how we would say it to not create conflict or tension between them?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I'll take that one.
Kathleen, as she has her little dog sitting on her lap.
Well, I may not be the best person for this, but I always try my hardest. I'm going to put it that way. But I always approach them very gently, and I say, "I'm your neighbor, and I noticed that you had X service at your house the other day, and I just wanted to share with you." And I usually talk about my personal background. I say I've worked for years in the pesticide arena, and I've learned so much about the science and what these chemicals can do to us, and that they truly do have an effect on us. And I just wanted to let you know. I would always give someone a solution.
Yes.
Instead of just going and criticizing, I would say,
Yes.
you know, we used to use conventional XYZ, like exterminators or whatever, too. I said, the guy that I use now is really great, and he uses only organic products. And then I usually share that. I mean, it happens that this guy had an incident where he used to apply the conventional products, and one day he passed out in his car alone. And after a couple hours, luckily, one of the neighbors noticed and called 911 and saved his life. And after that, he doesn't use those chemicals anymore. But I find it helps to share stories instead of just going to someone and saying, "Hey, I don't like what you're doing. You need to do something else."
Oh, God.
You know, you want to be understanding and caring and concerned and provide another solution. And then you can ask, you know, it'd be great if, you know, you can even make it a positive thing. Like, say, for my exterminator, Gus, I've said to my neighbors before, you know, it'd be really great if we could give Gus more business and support what he's doing.
Love that.
So always positive, Always a
Right.
positive ask and a solution, and you're approaching them out of concern. You're not a busybody. If you approach them from a fearful point of view, like, oh, you could be poisoning my family, that might really be the way you feel, but it's not the best way to approach people. The best way to approach people is from an understanding way, and understand that they may not know, and you may be giving them a gem. And my guy Gus now has more business than he can handle. He said, Kathleen, please stop. I can't take anymore. But
Wow.
I put him on Facebook. I did everything. But
Kathleen, is
my
that
advice is
different
positive.
when UDOT was spraying my property line across the 9 acres and you and I hopped in my Jeep and chased
And
them down
followed
and
them
went
with
all the way
videos.
down to Wasatch County to Quay, quit spraying my property.
Yeah,
There are times you have to, in Kathleen's words, you have to school them in order for them to get them to stop,
yeah.
especially UDOT.
It-
And it's sad because when you see the people spraying in those trucks,
They're not
they have
healthy.
no gloves, they have no
They're not
masks.
healthy.
And the labels specifically say they need certain types of PPMs in order to spray that. And they just put them in a vehicle and don't give them informed consent, but go ahead and spray these weeds. They're getting sick. So,
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
I met a guy in town in Heber who is dying. He used to work for UDOT, and he's dying now of lymphoma. And he was the applicator guy, and he knew that was why, and his buddies knew it was why. And it's tough because the county gets it almost for free, and they only think in terms of cost. They
Mhm.
don't. I don't know. I need to phrase that better when I say that, because they're only thinking of cost today of product. They're not thinking of cost down the road for everyone.
Right.
Yeah. And at some point, we have to think, what am I supporting?
Mhm.
Whose lives are being affected by me supporting this?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, maybe we do need to do more work on the governmental level. As hard as that is, maybe we need to work on both levels, and not be quiet and not sit down.
Right.
Form groups, form community, and then decide on a plan. And you can all contact us here at our website, and we will help you. We will help you to move forward in a positive way, so that
Mhm.
there's hope for our movement. It's hard. For example, with Nephi, Lori wrote them the letter, and she spent a lot of time trying to explain that there are a lot of studies that show harm and so forth. And the person got back to her and said, well, the EPA says this is cool, so we're cool with this. And I think that's a shame that
Okay. You're
people don't
muted.
understand. Can you hear
I'm not
me?
sure why you're not talking though.
Leighton, we can hear you.
Leighton?
Crap.
Leighton?
Check your audio source and settings and see what that's going through.
Where?
Leighton, we can hear you.
Here. It's so weird because it wasn't.
Lori, behind the
Today is the
scenes
craziest
action
day.
right now.
Today's the craziest day.
I'm not sure what's going on.
You, Leighton. We can still hear you. Oh my gosh. Sometimes we have to laugh, and actually it feels good to laugh. We talk about serious things, but it's funny. Today is funny tech day.
Yes, it sure is. Hey, there is a question. Did you see it up there about what
Yeah.
is GMO and organic? Do you want to do that one, Kathleen?
I'll do it. What do you
Okay.
mean? What's the question?
It says,
exactly?
what is GMO and organic, and what's the difference, from Bob?
Oh, hi, Bob. Thanks for your question. GMO means, in general, for what's out there right now, all the crops that are out there, GMO means the seed has been genetically modified to withstand applications of the toxic chemicals that the chemical companies sell along with the seed. So the seed is coated in dangerous pesticides before it's even planted. Then it's planted with pesticides. then it grows, then it's sprayed with pesticides because it's genetically engineered to resist the pesticides. Typically that is Roundup, so it is glyphosate, which is a carcinogen. And otherwise, the remaining 20% out there is sprayed with what's called Liberty Link, which is a Bayer product as well. Bayer now owns all of it. Liberty Link is glufosinate, which is a cousin of glyphosate, which you probably shouldn't eat otherwise. Furthermore, those plants are genetically engineered to produce an insecticide from within. And the plants themselves are patented insecticides. So you are eating insecticided food that has been sprayed with chemicals when you eat GMOs. So I don't recommend it. And yeah, so any independent science, the whole body of all the independent science has shown that these products do cause harm to your health. They hurt your stomach flora, they cause food allergies, your body can't process them, they cause weight gain, they cause neurological issues. I mean, I'm giving you sort of the very short explanation, but that's what GMOs are. And that's why my family doesn't eat them. If you're eating out in restaurants, they're probably using oil that was created from GMO, say canola or soy. None of it's healthy. I can't recommend any of it. If you buy sugar that's not organic, it comes from sugar beets, which are genetically modified and grow in the ground soaked in glyphosate. And then they make it into sugar for you to eat. So I highly recommend organic. Organic means that they use certain approved pesticides when needed and fertilizers, but those products that are approved for organic crops, rather than being incorporated into the food, as with GMOs, where everything is absorbed into the cellular level of the plants, so you can never wash it off, you're eating it. The organic food may be treated with certain kinds of milder pesticides and herbicides, but they can be washed off. And so the food is a lot cleaner and a lot healthier. And the bigger picture is that you're helping the planet by buying organic or regeneratively raised foods. Regeneratively raised means the farmer pays extra attention to the soil health and the soil nutrients, and by cutting the chemicals and boosting the health and the flora and the biology of the soil, they're helping the whole planet, and you get a lot more nutrition out of the same amount of food. So it's very nutrient dense and free of pesticides. So you want to look for organic, or ideally regenerative organic, or at least regenerative, because those farmers are not using the toxic chemicals that you probably shouldn't be eating. I don't know if you want to add to that, Patty.
Well, I wanted to ask you, like, how do we know it's regenerative at the store? I mean, we can talk to the farmers.
There's a label.
Oh, what is the label then?
There are labels coming out now. Rodale has one.
Fabulous.
There are a couple labels. They're either starting up or they're already out there. I've seen them on products, and it's regenerative or regenerative organic. One of the farmers has another label called Regenified that's starting to come into the market. So you'll see wonderful. These things. You'll see these things, but I have to tell you that those products they are costly. So it's, again, what we were saying, it's an investment to buy those products in the markets. Yes. And the next best thing you can do if you're on a budget is know your farmer. And the honest ones will say, come visit the farm, check out what we do. We're proud of it. We're a clean farm. We take great care of our animals, great care of our crops. Come visit. Those are the ones that you really want to get to know. And you can meet them at the farmer's market that we were talking about earlier. Right. So get to know your farmer, raise your own. That's how you get clean food. Buy organic, and just do the best you can to flip. Our family flipped 100%, and we stopped seeing the pediatrician. We stopped seeing her, and we'd become very close because I was.
And then that saves money on co-pays.
Bingo.
Right. We stopped all those costs. All those costs went away, and actually restaurant costs too, because we started eating at home more. We started eating at home because we decided we weren't going to pay extra to eat the GMO food.
Well, now it's mRNA food, so we'll be eating. I mean, it's closing in on where we can eat.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Back to community.
Yes.
Back to community and knowing.
And into your kitchen. Get into your kitchen.
That's right.
Turn the
So-
music up and dance and cook and sing
And sing and be happy like Monroe.
make it a fun
That's-
little event.
Yeah,
That's
invite
right.
your friends over. Find other friends that eat organic and have dinner at their house. Exchange. Do dinner
I
parties
know.
and exchange.
Right on.
It's more
I
fun.
like that. I like that.
I like
Well,
that too.
thank you, Jessica and Kathleen and Patty. I always love being on with you, and it's always brings like inspiration and joy to my heart, I have to tell you.
Mm.
So I
Same
guess
for us,
we
Lori.
will see you next week. I think Kathleen, you're on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Already? Wow.
It's
Yeah,
the
this-
first Thursday in March.
Yeah, this is the last Thursday of the month, and it actually has been a very successful month. So
Yes.
anyone outing, join our crusade. Send us an email at info@wellnesscrusaders.com. Again, info@wellnesscrusaders.com. We need you, and we need you to be part of the crusade. We cannot do this alone in
Right.
Utah. We
Right.
have probably 90 years collectively between the four of us on research, resources, and guidance.
Education.
So education, you're not going to get that anywhere in the state of Utah.
Woo.
So thank you. Everybody have a good evening, and I
Yes.
look forward to next week. Have a good night,
you.
everybody.
Good
Yeah.
night, everybody. Blessings to you all.
Much love, everyone.
Bye.